There is a prison that has no bars, there are no chains on your wrists, no locks on the door, but millions of people live inside it every single day of their lives. They wake up in it, they go to sleep in it, they make every decision from inside of it. And the name of that prison is the need for other people's approval. My name is Myles Munroe, and I want to talk to you today about one of the most dangerous habits a human being can develop, the habit of seeking validation from others before you take a single step forward in your own life. Let me ask you something honest. When was the last time you had an idea, a clear, burning, powerful idea, and instead of acting on it, you went to someone and asked, "What do you think?" And then when they said, "I'm not sure about that," you buried the idea, you shelved it, you walked away from your own vision because someone else couldn't see it. That is not wisdom. That is fear wearing the costume of humility. You were not born needing their opinion. When you came into this world, you did not arrive asking for permission. A baby does not consult the room before it cries. It does not seek validation before it breathes. It simply does what it was designed to do. It lives, it grows, it expresses itself completely and without apology. But then something happens. Society begins to train you. Family begins to shape you. Schools begin to grade you. And before long, you have learned one of the most crippling lessons a human being can absorb, that your worth is determined by what other people think of you. And so you begin to perform. You dress for approval. You speak for approval. You choose careers for approval. You marry for approval. You shrink yourself to fit inside the expectations of people who are themselves confused about who they are and why they exist. This is the tragedy of human potential. Not that people are incapable, but that they have handed the steering wheel of their lives to passengers. The problem with living for others' validation. Let me explain to you why approval seeking is so destructive at its core. When you need someone's approval to move forward, you have made that person your authority. You have placed them above you. And here is the danger. Most of the people whose approval you are seeking are themselves not living their purpose. They are confused. They are afraid. They are limited, and now you are asking a limited person to validate an unlimited vision. That never works. A person who has never flown cannot tell you whether your wings are strong enough. A person who has never built anything cannot tell you whether your foundation is sound. A person who has never stepped outside their comfort zone cannot tell you whether your dream is worth pursuing. When you seek approval from people who have not gone where you are going, you are asking them to confirm something they have never experienced. And what they cannot confirm, they will often deny, not because they are evil, but because they are afraid, and fear always speaks first. Approval is borrowed confidence. Here is the truth that will free you if you receive it. The confidence you get from someone else's approval is borrowed confidence, and borrowed things must always be returned. When someone says, "Yes, you can do it," and that becomes the fuel for your action, what happens when they change their mind? What happens when they wake up in a bad mood? What happens when they face their own failure and suddenly begin projecting that failure onto your future? If your confidence is built on what they said, then it collapses when they stop saying it. You become a slave to their moods, their opinions, their fluctuating perspectives, and that means you cannot move at a consistent pace. You can only move when they cheer, and you stop when they doubt. That is not a life. That is performance. True confidence is not borrowed. It is generated from within. It comes from knowing, not hoping, not wishing, but knowing who you are, why you are here, and what you are called to do. Discover your assignment, not their agenda. Every person on this earth arrived with an assignment, not a career, not a title, an assignment, a specific contribution that only you can make in the particular way that you were designed to make it. The moment you discover your assignment, something shifts. You stop looking around for applause because you realize you are not performing, you are fulfilling a purpose. And purpose does not need an audience to be valid. A tree does not need the approval of other trees to grow. A river does not ask the mountains permission to flow. They simply do what they were created to do. And the result is beauty, life, and abundance. Not because anyone told them to, but because they were built for it. You were built for something. And as long as you are waiting for someone to confirm that, you are wasting the very years that were meant for the fulfillment of that thing. Stop waiting. Start moving. The people who changed the world were not approved of. I want you to study history for a moment. Look at every person who brought significant change to this earth. Look at every inventor, every leader, every artist, every scientist, every reformer who left the world different from how they found it. Not one of them had unanimous approval. In fact, the greater the contribution, the greater the opposition. The more original the vision, the more people told them they were wrong. The more significant the breakthrough, the more voices said it was impossible. They were laughed at. They were dismissed. They were told to be realistic. They were told to sit down, fit in, follow the crowd, and stop dreaming. And yet they persisted, not because the crowd eventually came around, but because they knew something the crowd did not yet know. They knew their assignment, and that knowing was enough. If you wait for universal agreement before you take your step, you will never take it, because universal agreement does not exist. Someone will always disagree. Someone will always doubt. Someone will always tell you that you are aiming too high, asking too much, dreaming too big. Your response to that must be action, not argument. The difference between counsel and approval. Now, I want to be very careful here because someone might say, Myles, are you saying we should never listen to anyone? No, that is not what I am saying. There is a critical difference between seeking wise counsel and seeking emotional approval, and you must understand this distinction. Wise counsel comes from someone with relevant experience, proven character, and genuine concern for your growth. You listen to them because they have been where you are going, or because they understand the terrain you are navigating. You weigh their input, filter it through your own discernment, and make a decision. Their role is to inform, not to authorize. Emotional approval is something completely different. That is when you go to someone, not because they know anything about your path, but because you need them to feel good about what you are doing before you feel good about it yourself. You are not looking for information. You are looking for relief from your own anxiety, and no one can give you that sustainably. You must do the internal work. You must get to the place where the only validation you require is alignment with your own values, your own purpose, and your own understanding of your design. What happens when you stop seeking approval? When you stop needing other people's approval, something remarkable begins to happen. You start making better decisions. You stop wasting time running ideas by people who cannot evaluate them. You stop diluting your vision to make it more acceptable. You stop editing yourself before you have even begun. You become faster, more decisive, more focused, because you are no longer waiting for a committee to pass your life plan. You are simply living it. And here is what is most powerful. When you stop chasing approval, you stop attracting the wrong relationships. The people who were drawn to you because you always validated them, always agreed with them, always adjusted yourself to make them comfortable, those people begin to fall away. And in their place come people who respect your clarity, your conviction, and your sense of self. People do not ultimately respect those who bend to every opinion. They respect those who know who they are and stand in that knowledge firmly, generously, and without apology. Reclaim your authority over your own life. I want to speak to someone today who has been giving away their authority for years. You have been asking for permission. You have been dimming your light to make others comfortable. You have been editing your dreams before you even allow yourself to dream them fully. Because somewhere in the back of your mind, you are already hearing the voices of the people who will disapprove. That ends today. You were not placed on this earth to live someone else's version of your life. You were not given this mind, this heart, this set of gifts and experiences so that you could hand the direction of it over to people who are still figuring out their own direction. Reclaim your authority, not with arrogance, not with recklessness, but with the quiet, unshakable confidence of someone who knows who they are and what they are here to do. Your life is not a democracy. Not everyone gets a vote on where you go and what you build and who you become. Some people's voices simply do not belong in your decision-making room. And it is not because they are bad people. It is because their vision for your life is smaller than the one you were given. The weight you will drop. The moment you truly release the need for approval, you will feel something leave you. It is not dramatic. It is not loud. But it is unmistakable. It is the weight of performing. The weight of monitoring every room's reaction. The weight of adjusting your language, your plans, your ambitions based on who is watching. The weight of living for the applause of people who will one day be gone, and taking with them all the validation you sacrificed your purpose to receive. That weight will lift, and in its place will come something that very few people in this world ever fully experience: freedom. The freedom to be exactly who you are. The freedom to fail and try again without it meaning something is wrong with you. The freedom to succeed without needing anyone else to confirm that the success is real. Freedom, when it is lived from the inside out, is one of the most powerful forces on earth. A final word. I want to leave you with this. The greatest tragedy in life is not death. The greatest tragedy is a life that was never lived, a vision that was never pursued, a gift that was never given, a contribution that was never made. Because the person carrying all of that potential spent their years waiting for someone to say it was okay. Do not let that be your story. You have everything you need, not everything you want yet, but everything you need to begin. And beginning, done honestly and with full commitment, is where all great things start. Stop looking to the left and to the right for permission. Look inside. Go deeper than the noise of the crowd, deeper than the opinions of those who mean well but cannot see what you see, deeper than the fear that has masqueraded as caution for far too long. Find your assignment, commit to your purpose, and live fully, boldly, unapologetically, not for the approval of this world, but for the fulfillment of the one life you were given to live. This is Myles Munroe, and I believe in the unlimited potential that lives inside of you. Now go, not when they give you permission, now.